Hello, folks.
Hello.
Are we on?
We are.
We're on. Well, good day.
Single ladies.
How are you all?
We're just fine, Ivan. How are you?
Okay.
You're just okay?
Yeah, I'm okay.
What would make you better today?
I couldn't do it anyway.
What? You naughty boy.
I love that.
My dad wanted to know when he moved in if you could get hookers on Amazon. I said no.
Only one way
Not
to
yet.
find out.
Some days.
Yeah.
Someday they come in the form of a blow up, but
Yeah.
Last time, there were some questions, and Shelby asked a question which was way beyond a 10-year-old's knowledge, like
are you calling Shelby 10 years old?
11 and a half.
I was
We're going to derail you.
what was I talking about? Let's see.
A question that I had that was
Yeah.
beyond my depth.
About the current policies, how they compared to policies today in the country.
That's right.
And so we didn't get very much with that, did we?
No.
Yeah. Well, I made some notes.
I love it. Okay.
And I need glasses, though.
Just wait till we hit it with these.
One of the things that you were, is that the right note? Yeah. Oh, yes, was. To describe to you what it was like to live there in Auburn as a 10-year-old before the end of the war.
Mm-hmm.
And what we had was a lot of bums. You know what
Really?
bums are? Bums, yeah.
Vagrants?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, they were bums.
But you live close to the railroad tracks.
We lived close to the railroad. That's where that address is, that brick house. And it's like a brick, you know, what kind of house.
Shit half.
Yeah. Anyway, it was a 2-story one. Oh, it's 3 stories. It had 3 stories. Anyway, they would come up to our place and ask Mom for something to eat, and she would set them to work around the facility, the house, and then she'd give them something to eat, and they were all very pleasant about it. We had a little dog, though, that wasn't so pleasant about it. He just take right after them and bite them, but we had to put a stop to that.
You know, it's ironic that my dad
Wow.
my dad lived in Auburn. When did you move there? When you were about 7, 6? 6 years old. And he was born
that
in
would have been what year?
33 plus 6 is 39.
39.
Yeah, 1939.
So
right, yeah.
he lived there for quite a while when he was a kid, and now he's 90, and we went and checked that house out. So he started part of his life in Auburn, and then he's been to multiple places, and here he is, a 90-year-old living in Auburn again.
Is it still there?
It's still there. And there was this cool cat that came out because he saw us parked by the house, and we got his email. In fact, I lost it. I got to drive back down there and get it. But my dad looked at the house and said this was what was missing and this was gone. And he asked the guy, he said that he had a science kit that he caught that something on fire there.
Well,
And he said that those burn marks were still there.
I had a chemistry
Is
set.
that right?
Yep.
I had a little
Whoa.
chemistry set, and my bedroom was up in the 2nd floor, which they're turning into, there's 2 dormers there now, so that's different. But I had an alcohol lamp, you could, they tell you how to make an alcohol lamp with your chemistry and so on. The only thing is it charred part of a windowsill.
Oh, wow.
And my mom
Yeah.
saw that. And boy, did I catch hell, I'll tell you.
I bet.
Yeah, and no chemistry set up there anymore, so we had to take the chemistry set out to the shed out there where we had a zoo. As it was a big old dog, friendly old dog, but he was a lion. So
Oh, wow.
yeah, and we had a few other dogs that were in there, and the next door neighbor, a girl. I'll tell you all about that, but.
You don't want to know about that. I did some.
Yes,
No.
we do.
No, you don't.
Yeah.
You could have almost
Anyway,
burned the house down.
there was two apple trees in the yard. For one thing, and Mom kept saying, "Now don't go climbing in those because you'll fall out of them." Well, she was gone one day, and I climbed the apple tree, and pretty soon I saw the car coming in the driveway,
Oh,
you know.
no.
And she was right. I fell out of the apple tree, you know.
Oh, shoot.
Mom was right.
Mom was right.
Imagine that. Mother's being
Yeah.
right.
Oh.
Mother's always
Yeah.
right.
And anyway, there were barrage balloons. You know what a barrage balloon is? It's a balloon that's got lots of wires on it, and it's sitting up there. And the reason for that barrage balloon is that if planes came in at a low thing, they'd get tangled up in the wires, and so they wouldn't do it. So
Isn't that
it was a
trippy?
preventative thing.
Really?
And you notice we're not that far from Renton and Boeing, and that's where they were building those seaplanes at the time. It wasn't really a seaplane. It was it was a plane that could land on water and take off on water. So I guess it was a seaplane, but it was very large, and it was not as large as the spruce goose. You guys know what that is?
Yep.
Yeah.
Spruce goose.
Down in Oregon, right?
I think that's
Yeah.
where it lives now.
Yeah.
Down in Oregon somewhere.
Yeah.
McMinnville.
So that caveats. Shelby's got a question for you that really
Okay.
goes with that one about the invention. That kind of goes along those lines.
Yeah. What invention that you witnessed in your lifetime are you the most amazed by?
Can I go get Tesla's book?
Yeah, right? Yeah, we were talking Tesla earlier. That looks like a good read. Yeah.
What invention?
Yeah.
In your lifetime, are you most amazed by? Besides the cell phone.
God, I don't know. Let's see. The invention. I saw a lot of motorcycles. There was Indian right kitty corner from the house. The guy had an Indian motorcycle, and you didn't see a whole lot of those around, except the military had them. You know, they had the motorcycles, and the invention would be the television set.
Uh-huh.
That's and we could see the television set if we carefully went over to the neighbor's house.
And looked in the window.
In the afternoon, they would turn on the TV set, which was about this big, and you would get a few things on it, like Howdy Doody and you remember Howdy Doody?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's howdy doody time.
Yeah,
It's
that's it.
howdy doody time. It's howdy
So
doody
we
time.
would,
Little tube TV about that big.
And it had the redhead freckled
yeah,
kid.
Yeah, and with big tubes.
Oh, yeah,
the
big tubes.
Yeah. And so I think the radio and Buck Rogers, Buck Rogers wasn't real. Buck Rogers was a cartoon about a
space guy.
pilot that had a thing that he could go. He could lift up the thing and then take off with it and go all kinds of places and do all kinds of things to people.
So that kind of leads into your question.
Yeah.
Okay.
We've got questions for you. We've changed it up there, Big Daddy.
That's okay.
When did you first believe that we are not alone in the universe?
Oh, I would say. Well, it'd have to go for when I first believed there was a universe. And,
that makes sense.
You know,
Didn't go that deep, did
To
we?
learn that first. Okay.
For being a little kid, you see the moon and the stars and stuff like that. But I would have to go with Buck Rogers and his things. He had people like Corn Plaster. Remember Corn Plaster?
Do not remember Corn Plaster. And the only reason I remember Buck Rogers is because
Corn Plaster had suctions, and he could climb straight up things and so on.
Oh.
You know? Yeah.
Spider-Man-ish kind of.
Yeah.
Corn Plaster. Yeah.
Corn Plaster.
Yeah.
That's a really good answer. As soon as I realized there was a universe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
Corn
Buck
Plaster.
Rogers, yes.
Yeah, so you talk like that and you say that about, the invention would be the TV and, you remember Buck Rogers and things like that. Do you think that the kids today may not have that, or even myself, my generation, may not have that significant memory? Like mine would be the cell phone. Because I remember as a kid, it was the wall phone, and your cord was so long that you'd get your butt spanked for stretching it out because then mom's cord was now dangling off the wall
All
and tripping
tangled
over
up.
it. But you'd lay on the floor and talk to your friend. You had a party line with your neighbors, so they, if you were on it too long, she'd come on and say, "Get off the phone, Callie.
It's our turn.
It's our turn." But do you think kids today, like, Addie and Soph and all of my grandkids, are they going to have that memory? If somebody was to ask them at 90, what is the most pinnacle or incredible invention in your lifetime? But then again, it could be, in their lifetime, it could be a freaking hover car.
Well, could be a what?
It could be a hover car.
Yeah, that's right.
It
And
probably will be. Yeah.
rather than a hover car these days are air hovercraft things that go across the English Channel. They have a thing that goes back and forth. But I think by that time we're going to have a system that is magnetically charged so that it rises up, doesn't need air. It just rises up and goes where there's probably a metal of some sort in the street that can shoot charges down there or ways to keep it going. I think that's what we're going to have in 100 years. The kids nowadays, I don't know if they're going to live 100 years. I would hope they'd live 100 years or more. Bible says 120 years, but I don't know if anybody else is.
But they are saying that the lifespan of the human is getting shorter again. So it was short, then it lengthened, and now it's shortening again.
Really?
Yeah,
I can't help but think that's the food that we eat.
it's the
Very
food
well could be.
and our environment too. What's in the air that we breathe all the time? What is that? Like our house, planes flying over all the time. Well, where's that exhaust go?
Yeah.
You shoo.
That is the first time I've heard you call it our house.
Oh,
I love that.
you do?
Yeah.
Is that our house?
That is our house. Yeah. You used to always say your house, right? That's the first time you've said that. So,
Cool.
yeah.
And there's
Mom even thinks it's our house. Mom thinks it's her house.
I was just gonna say.
And this is live.
Oh, yeah. The thing that we would hear on the radio was the progress that the troops were making after they got into the war. Now, they weren't into the war right off the bat. I'm speaking of the European War. And it took a while to get in. There were all kinds of movies about ships and soldiers and merchant marine on ships that got sunk. And, it was a terrible time until they got planes that could see those subs and blast them out of the water. Then the Germans didn't have that kind of a advantage to the Americans that way, or anybody else. But Roosevelt kept thinking, well, we ought to probably get into that war because we're going to be in it one way or the other. Congress says none of our children are going to go overseas and get shot up. We're not going to do that. Well, they did, and in a big way. And they could have probably not been so bad if they'd have started earlier. There'd have been a foothold of like in France and Belgium and that sort of thing. But they had no foothold.
Interesting, right?
Yeah, they had to just do it.
Do you think that the younger generation talks to the older generation enough to learn
No,
about that stuff?
never. No, Traditionally,
Why do you shake your head like that?
traditionally,
Oh,
young
I
folks
didn't
don't
see it.
listen to
I wasn't
older
paying
folks.
What?
Why?
These
I would be
these
curious to know
goddamn
what-
kids.
what Auburn looked.
That's,
That's yeah.
I'm
How many
curious-
older people are approachable?
Curious
That
what
should've been the
Auburn
question.
looked like.
When I was there,
Yeah, I mean, was it like maybe am I being dramatic? Dirt roads and one road up the middle of the valley,
well,
or were there like little rural areas?
I remember the rail lines, and they're still there, actually, I think. But on the other side of that was a drugstore and a movie theater. And in that movie theater, Mom could give Norman and what's Norman? Yeah, and Philip a dime and go see the movie. And they would go from their home down the main street of Auburn, and there was a main street at that time, and it's still there, I think, and it's safe. Nobody ever got taken, But there was, I was going to say something about that. Going down into the middle of Auburn. Yeah, you go up a block from our house, and across the street was the elementary school, and on that side was a high school. And the junior high was, and they called it junior high then. No middle school, it was junior high. Was down a ways from that. And, you could walk up and down the streets no problem. Anyway, I got sent up to the corner, and at that corner was something like, it was a malt shop, I guess you call it that, and there was all kinds of, you could go get a malt, and they just had that kind of stuff going on,
These
And
guys were called soda jerks.
Mr. Brown.
Oh, really?
Mr. Brown, that's where I would get a loaf of bread, and I'd give him the dime and, just go back home.
The building is still there.
Whoa.
Yeah.
The building is still there. It's obviously remodeled, but
Yeah.
he took me on a drive where he's like, turn right, turn left. I'm like, well, whoa.
Where are we going?
Yeah.
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 Waze is like, I don't understand what you're doing.
Where's Mr.
Wow.
Brown?
And you could, you could send the kids down the street without too much worry, because it was fairly safe, even with the bums. You know, the classification of bums at that time was not. They were,
They weren't known as homeless people.
they
What
were
did they call the
more
guys that had the
so-
stick with the
yeah,
little thing that would hang over?
Hobos.
yeah,
Hobos.
Yeah.
That's the image I have in my mind.
Hobos, and they used to ride the train tracks
Hobos.
because it would get them from city to city.
Oh, same thing.
Same
Same
thing.
guy.
Okay.
Hobos.
Same
Yeah.
guys. They just,
Trailer for sale or rent. Rooms to let, 50 cents.
Is that a
Yeah.
bum mantra or something?
It's kind of in that same, 50 cents. No phone, no food, no pets. I ain't got no cigarettes.
Yeah.
How about we talk more next week?
Okay, well, I want to bring something up here. Maybe we'll go into next week.
The Victory Garden?
The Victory Garden was alongside the house, and we would all be participating in that, as you can well imagine. And when I was in about the 5th grade, I think it was, 5th grade, there was in the classroom, the classrooms haven't changed one iota, and there were some girls
Keep
with
it clean now.
long black hair,
Oh, yeah. I know this story.
and there was a joke about dipping them in the inkwell and stuff like that. Well, I did that a time or two, but one day they were gone. Nobody thought anything of it. A couple of days later, they were still gone. So then the teacher had to tell us they were part of the families that were in the internment.
Japanese
Yeah.
internment camp.
Japanese.
Japanese internment camp.
Yep, took them all.
Yeah.
Wow.
Even the little kids.
Jet black hair, right? Little kids.
Yeah. So that was something that I remember as being I could not figure out how a little girl about that tall
Was a danger.
was a danger to anybody. I said, what the hell is all of that about?
Right?
Yeah. And that was something I couldn't, I still don't, actually. And I think
Yeah.
people have come to better ideas about internment camps for race or creed or, race is what that was. And to have to scurry them away.
Yeah. Well, the good news now is the government already knows whether you're
Yeah.
doing bad, naughty stuff or not because they have your cell phone at a data. So it's like,
Yeah, so there you go.
Yeah.
exactly. They don't need to put them all in an internment camp. They can just pick them off one by one.
Yeah.
No, we just
exactly.
call
Yeah.
Google.
Right.
Road.
Yeah. Exactly.
Right.
Could you run a report on?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's pretty much all I got. The next goes into Oppenheimer.
And we're still going to get that movie watched, so we'll talk about Oppenheimer. If not next time, the time after. We were going to watch Oppenheimer, but we lost power
Yeah.
Boy.
on Saturday.
Yeah.
That was our goal.
And
sure.
it was,
Watch it on
uh,
Saturday.
Well, and it's like a 3-hour movie.
That's
so
what we've heard, so
Yeah.
he won't be able to.
Get ready.
Yeah.
It's a little
Truman.
bit of a marathon.
Yeah.
Truman was the guy that said, okay, go and do it.
What's a victory garden?
Oh, a victory garden.
Is that where you grow the flowers
No,
for
no,
victory?
No. All right, that's a whole nother subject. And that
Well, let's
is-
talk about the Victory Garden next week.
well, we can do that, but it was a garden that you raised so you would have some vegetables um, that you couldn't buy at the store, and that's where the rationing, which we've never heard of here, rationing came into play, and we can talk about that next time. What that,
Interesting.
Let's do
What
that. Let's
that
talk about the
meant.
Victory Garden and rationing.
Oh, interesting.
All right. Good job, Dad.
Yeah, well done. That's
Yes,
interesting.
that is really.
Just thought
love
I'd
that
make
history.
make some notes about all
Yeah.
that.
So make some more notes about that Victory Garden and what you remember from rationing and things like that. And if you were around for when they cut the booze off, what was that called?
Prohibition.
Prohibition and all that good stuff.
I think no. Oh, I was probably around, but let's see, when the hell was it?
40s.
It would have been, I think it's the early 30s,
Early 30s.
wasn't it?
Didn't stop Grandpa. He found the booze.
Is that right?
Yeah. We'll talk about that next week a little bit, okay?
Wait, that could have been 20.
Okay,
All right,
yeah,
all right.
yeah.
We got to Google it.
We,
Later, gang.
So
Ciao.
later, everybody.